Steve Price in for Chris Kenny. I hope you have a great Australia Day tomorrow. Celebrate hard and just show all those people who hate our country how wrong they are. Let's get straight into our panel. Amanda Rose is with us from Small Business Women Australia and Lisa Goddard from Adoni Media. Let's start with the Captain Cook statue, 100-year-old statue. Been hacked down by protesters in St Kilda, spray painted with this slogan, "The colony would fail." What a joke that is. Lisa, these vandals, I said at the beginning of the program, the police now really need to investigate this with all of the resources they have, because to go to the level, I mean, it's one thing to spray paint a statue, but to take out an angle grinder and take the Cook statue off just above the ankles, that's a whole level, again, of what I would describe as suburban terrorism. The police need to act pretty quickly here, don't they?
Well, I'm surprised they weren't acting faster last night. You can't tell me that that was a quiet crime at all. You're using an angle grinder on a statue. But you're right, it's absolutely disgusting, it's appalling, and I'm sick to death of living in a country where we have to feel embarrassed to be proud of what this country stands for. You know, in a corporate world where I work, you've got corporates, executives questioning now, can they put a post out on social media to say Happy Australia Day? Now, you go back just even 5 years ago, it was stock standard that companies, small businesses, would all proudly say Happy Australia Day. There'd be the photographs out there of the thongs on the beach, but not now. It is a serious question that's being asked in boardrooms because there are repercussions. And that is just a sad, sad indictment of where we are. And what do we now need to look at? We know that these statues are going to be targeted. Is it a case that police now have to patrol them on the eve of Australia Day, never mind on Australia Day? What happened to the cockroach races and the celebrating of what we are and being on the beach for the day?
Yeah, you're quite right. And Amanda, Lisa's right. I mean, I think we celebrate Australia Day harder in the regions, in country Australia, than we do in the major capital cities, where, we're pestered by the hard green left who come out and march up and down the street calling it Invasion Day and linking it all to Palestine. I mean, when I was growing up, I grew up in Adelaide, and so Australia Day was just a long weekend. Sydney's the centre of Australia Day and still celebrates it well. But down here in Melbourne, it's basically just a day off. Nobody does anything. Whatever happened to great patriotism and being proud to be an Aussie?
It's just simple respect. I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world, I believe. And what's interesting is your point about the regions that celebrate Australia Day more. I wonder if people know that without the regions, we wouldn't have food. So Australia pretty much wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have a supply chain to live off if it wasn't for our country folk and the farmers and so forth. So we need to understand, they understand their role in making Australia great, and we need to respect that. But we also, the diversity of Australia, the inclusivity of Australia, this type of behaviour is the complete opposite to that. We can't claim to the rest of the world that we're inclusive and we embrace differences, and then something like this happens. So yes, the police need to deal with it swiftly. It's criminal. And also don't forget, social media is such a big, I'd say, influencer on things like this, because people love doing things just for the likes or to show off. So we need to show people that is not acceptable. Just, trying to get likes on your social media by doing something so appalling is wrong.
Yeah, look, Amanda, I heard on radio today, and look, you're the voice of small business for women around Australia, and I think small business does a better job at still being patriotic and showing that Australian spirit than what the woke big corporates do, who directors seem, as Lisa just said, afraid to say anything. But I heard on radio today that a Salvation Army, one of those Salvation Army op shops, they had a whole bunch of Aussie memorabilia stuff. They had it in the window as recently as a week ago, but when someone turned up at the shop today, it was on a table out the back. You can only presume the salvos were worried that someone was going to put a brick through the window.
Well, what's interesting is your point about the small business. And, small businesses hold up the country. 96% of businesses are small business, and they pay an enormous amount of taxes to keep this country going. Large companies have a lot of lawyers and accountants to avoid paying a lot of tax in this country. So really, I'm not interested in what big companies even decide to do at all. And I like the fact that people are using their voice and their money to say, no, we don't agree with it. So go and support the small business. Go and support Ronnie's, who's actually selling Australian Day merchandise. Support them over the larger ones who are ignoring them.
Lisa, the Prime Minister announced the overhaul of stage 3 tax cuts today. Here's a little of what the opposition leader Peter Dutton said about an hour ago.
I think he should call an election and put the change position to the Australian people and let them be a judge of his character, whether he's fit to be Prime Minister of this country, whether they could ever trust him again.
Lisa, I don't think the PM's going to call an election, but I'd love your view on what sort of reputational damage this has done to Anthony Albanese. He was on radio as recently as early this week saying there'd be no change, and then he reveals today that they've been working on this plan for months.
Well, if I was a betting woman, I would say there is one question Anthony Albanese is never going to give a straight answer to, and that is, did you lie? Because he avoided that, he danced around it today, and we will not hear a straight answer on that question. But look, the proof is in the pudding. You just, like you said, what is it, nearly 100 times that we've heard him say he back in the tax, stage 3 tax cuts, and yet no, he changed it completely. So I think this will come down to a battle of messaging. You know, you've got Albanese on one side, where the coalition, rightly so, is saying, look, he's broken an election promise, he's lied to the country, you can't trust him. And on the other side, Albanese will be doing his damnedest to throw the coalition under the bus to say, if you don't back this, then you don't agree with making it easier for low to middle income Australians. So that's the line in the sand that's being drawn, rightly or wrongly. And I think it was great to see Peter Dutton come out today and say, OK, put your money where your mouth is, call an election. Let's play this out. You've got the by-election coming up. That will be a good test. But yeah, if Albanese thinks this is exactly the right thing he needs to do, then call an election, because I can tell you here in Queensland, Labor has to win the regional seats. Now, what's in regional Queensland? Let me think. Resources. So the resource guys aren't exactly backing in Labor at this point in time. And do you think the average person who's working in the mine and earning those good dollars is going to look at this and go, well, there's another reason for us to turn around and change our vote and back in Labor? I don't think so.
Amanda, I mean, when you think about cost of living pressures on all sorts of people, but particularly the lower income earners, yes, they're going to have some more cash in their hand, but that cash is only, I think, going to make up from what they've had to struggle to get to at this point. I mean, electricity and gas bills, petrol, the price of food. So they're behind the 8 ball on what inflation did. So it's really just a catch-up. And for the PM to say, well, this is going to be wonderful for everyone gets a tax cut. Well, that tax cut, Amanda's just going to, and your small business people that you talk to would tell you this, it's just going to get them back somewhere to where they were a year ago.
Yeah, so, I'm all pro tax cuts regardless of what they are, because they help people. But I actually think there's a sinister motive here, because if you're saying to people that the more you earn, the more tax you'll pay, then when you come to small businesses, or someone is studying a degree right now, or someone is saying, you know what, I want to go for promotion, what they're saying is that don't bother. Don't be aspirational, because the more you earn, we'll just tax you anyway. So people will start giving up. And that is dangerous. We need to encourage people to be able to, realise the Australian dream of owning their own home, which means they might, upskill when there's a lot of upskilling opportunities. And same with small business, because this impacts them. So if you're saying to a small business, don't earn any more, just stay there so you get the tax cuts, then they actually won't grow and they might not be able to advance in any particular way. So I think it's killing hope. And that's what we need to focus on. Yes, he's deceived everyone in the election, but hey, most politicians do, which is why we need to question them. But I do encourage people to go and talk to or send emails and letters to their federal MP and say, I didn't vote for this, I don't agree with this. What's in it for us, for our small business, or for me, who now I don't get the tax cut that I was promised?
Lisa, talking about reputational damage, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Steve, I was going to say, in all seriousness though, if you're an average family and you're getting an extra, $25 to $35 a week, how much difference is that going to make when you, like you said, go to the grocery store, put the fuel in the car, try to pay your electricity bill? It's a drop in the ocean. If you look at the $15, $20, what's that, a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of cartons of milk for the family for a week?
Well, that's true. I bought 3 coffees today. It cost me $16. I mean, they were large coffees, but since when did 3 coffees cost $16? I mean, people are really doing it hard out there. And again, you know, as we lead up to the Australia Day long weekend, and again, I hope everyone celebrates properly, the petrol prices have gone through the roof because they know, the garages, the petrol retailers know that everyone's going to have to fill up the car if they're going to do a road trip across the Australia Day weekend. Just quickly for both of you, Amanda, what do you do on Australia Day?
Well, I'm an ambassador, so I'll be doing a speech and presenting some awards at Georges River Council.
Lisa?
Look, I'm hoping for a nice, quiet family day tomorrow, which will be quite nice. But look, my decades of being a journo, I have attended many ceremonies over Australia Day, and they are incredible to attend. And the number of tears that flow because they are so proud to become Australian citizens, that's what's really heartwarming about the day.